Many are called, but few are chosen. When you think of a world of over 7 billion people and that there are only 144,000, whether symbolic or literal, we know either way. I don't know where you stand. I know where I stand, but it doesn't matter. What matters is whether we are part of them, the 144,000. And that's the most important thing, not whether it's literal or not. Are we following the Lamb whithersoever he goeth? Have we dipped our robes in blood? Are we carrying our crosses? And yeah, this Adventist home spirit of prophecy life can only become your life, your innermost desire, if you have loved God and love him and have been converted. And as you know, I was converted really after baptism, way after baptism when I was 16. That's when my first baptism was. But it was rote, just learn, read. These are the 28 fundamental beliefs. Did you believe Ellen White? Yes, but we didn't study her. We never studied any of her books. We didn't read letters to young lovers, the youth books, youth instructor, for example, pamphlets, devotionals, not devotionals. She never actually wrote devotionals. But we just knew, okay, Ellen White is one of those people we should believe in because she founded the church. We keep the Sabbath. But loving God and thanking him for everything he had done, it wasn't the focal point. I'm sorry for this very long introduction. I know we are here for the video on Adventist Home, but without loving God fully, we won't want to obey him. We'll find reasons, excuses not to obey him. We'll look around and say, well, no one else is doing it, so clearly it's not possible. God never gives us impossibilities. He gives us the power to obey him. He's not an impossible God. He's a loving God who makes all things possible. So I pray that as we are studying, whoever is studying, that we have surrendered our hearts to God, that we have let him rule in every sphere. What we're studying, why we are studying, should we be studying, what job we're doing, what we wear in the morning, how we talk to people throughout the day. When God has permeated our every aspect, then it will be easy for him to, when he's enlightened us, help us to obey him and help us to be like he is towards those who are not obeying him. Sad, not angry, not belittling, sad for them, because then he died on the cross for no good reason regarding them. And that is sad. So let us go on. Chapter 38. The mother, queen of the household. Queen. There's a nobility in that title, a nobility we women are missing. I'm not sure if it will come up further on, so I'll state it now. Queens never look raggedy. They might have their home clothes versus their public clothes, but queens never look unkempt. I know it's definitely there in First Testimonies, where she tells Testimonies to the Church, Volume 1, where she tells mothers, the people you should be most good looking for are the family, the ones in your home. Don't be all bedraggled and looking like a scarecrow for your family, and then, oh, there are guests, and then you suddenly dress up. We have it twisted, people. The people who deserve our greatest respect are our own household. The people who deserve our best, they're our own household. The people we should be impressing are those of our own household. So, as a queen will go about her duties, but still look presentable. Not black and white and spotted leggings, or I don't know, black and white spotted skirt and then a stripy red and orange top and some funny look. We still need to look neat and presentable, whatever we may be doing, as long as our family is with us. Nobility. Women should fill the position which God originally designed for her as her husband's equal. Yes, you may call him Lord, as Abraham was called by Sarah, but on the other hand, Sarah had so much control that she made Abraham go to another woman, which he never wanted. But that's the equality. You can call him Lord because you are meant to be submissive, but he will also listen to your thoughts. We are our husbands' equals as ladies, and men need to accept that. We are their equals, no matter what we do with our daily life, whether we're out in the office or taking care of children at home. We are their equals. The world needs mothers who are mothers not merely in name, but in every sense of the word. We may safely say that the distinctive duties of woman are more sacred, more holy than those of man. God sees differently. Wiping your baby's diaper is more sacred, more holy than going to speak to the board, to the CEO of your company. Let woman realize the sacredness of her work, and in the strength and fear of God, take up her life mission. As soon as that baby is waiting for you to adopt it, or as soon as that baby is in your womb, you now have a different life mission. That being a mother is your one and only and most important role. Sacred, holy. And can we perform a sacred and holy role if we are not holy ourselves? She should feel that she is her husband's equal, to stand by his side. She, faithful at her post of duty, and he at his. Her work in the education of her children is in every respect as elevating and ennobling as any post of duty he may be called to fill, even if it is to be the chief magistrate of the nation. I don't know how many Kenyan people are watching. Kenya, okay. I saw in East Africa a huge respect for position. The higher you were in a worldly sense, the more everybody spoke about you. The higher the church roles you were given. It's almost like I'm generalizing based on what I used to hear in church. It's like they worshipped those people. And that's not godly. What is godly is a mother who is teaching her children. She is noble. She is refined, more important than the husband, whether he is CEO, director, manager, or chief magistrate of the nation. The king upon his throne has no higher work than has the mother. When I say this, I read a lot of British news because I spent lots of time in living there, and the way those people admire the king, it's unbelievable. It's like, especially the queen, late queen, it's like she was their god. How dare they do that against our queen? That's how we should be feeling about mothers who are educating their children and raising them. How dare anyone say anything negative about her? Husbands, when you hear that your mother has said something evil, cruel, denigrating about your wife who's obeying God, you should quickly and firmly tell her, Mom, I heard that you said this. Don't ever say that again. She is bone of my bone. And I say that because I've heard too often where a man will say, well, I didn't hear her say it to me, so it's a rumor. And he just continues talking to her like it's nothing. And she must know he's heard. Or on the other hand, I've heard of a husband who did the opposite. The wife mentioned something to the husband that his aunt had said. sister to his mother, and he immediately wanted to sort it out for her. That's what we need. We need people who will say, how dare anyone say that about my queen? And this is before she's even a mother. Let her only realize the high character of her task, and it will inspire her with courage. You are not working for your children, you are working for God. It's easy for man to forget how important your job is because they've got a human boss. They need to do this on time. They need to hand this in by 5 o'clock. They need to have met with these people, and they forget that you also have a boss. And your boss is actually very exacting. Every minute of your day, your boss is wanting to be accounted for, and you can't hide. He sees every single thing you do. He knows your motives. The boss at work doesn't know your motives. He doesn't know why you're doing the things you're doing. Some girls wrote to my husband thanking him for whatever help he gave them, and you just know that you don't know, rather. Are they really thankful? Or are they thinking we can then secure our jobs and not lose them if we brown nose? Or what's another word for that? I know people complain about my English being too highfalutin if they suck up to the boss. But God knows why we do it. And if we realize the high character of our work, everything we do will be imbued with, I'm serving God. I am serving God. I am a missionary. I am holy. My role is sacred. Let her realize the worth of her work and put on the whole armor of God, that she may resist the temptation to conform to the world's standard. And that temptation is strong. Her work is for time and eternity. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord. Yes, the man may go and get money. That's not what God wants. God doesn't want our money. God wants our characters, our behavior, our integrity, our hearts. Your boss doesn't care about your heart. He just wants you to do the work. But our boss, God, and there's temptation you put when you see someone, put on yourself when you see others living a different life to you. And then there is the other temptation when family members say to you, you should be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. Put on the whole armor of God, faith, courage, all of it. Study the writings of Paul. He will strengthen you to obey this book. Paul and Spirit of Prophecy, Ellen White, they know they are one. They are one when it comes to the role of a mother. Study the word of God and you will have the sword of faith. You will have the shield of faith and the sword, which is the word of God. The children are to be taught to regard their mother not as a slave whose work it is to wait on them, but as a queen who is to guide and direct them, teaching them line upon line, precept upon precept. How much have you taught your child this week? What have they learned from you today? What have they seen? Are you their toy? There are parents who, because they feel guilty about something or the other, maybe they were working. Then maybe their mothers were not fulfilling their sacred role and are out there working, getting money, and then overcompensate by giving gifts all the time. It's like they're buying their children's love. You are not meant to buy their love. The children are meant to learn to be loyal to you. The mother seldom appreciates her own work and frequently sets so low an estimate upon her labor that she regards it as domestic drudgery. How much more when the world has placed such a low estimate on the work of mothers. It's your own pressure and that of the outside world. It is a real pressure. It is hard. And so you also just think to yourself, I'm just a mother. You're not just. She goes through the same round day after day, week after week, with no special marked results. The person at work can say, I finished this project, we've signed off on this. But you, the children are still forever in your home. You're still teaching them to be kind, teaching them to be unselfish. It goes on and on. You're still washing the same dishes that you ate on last week, the dishes you ate on last year, unless they're broke. You don't see the impact of your work as much as those do who have deadlines, who have concrete, completable work to do. You don't see it. She cannot tell at the close of the day the many little things she has accomplished. I once did this for my husband because I could see he's not getting it. I would tell him I would write at 10 o'clock, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. It would fill a whole message. I did all this. And it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. And all of those things require energy, foresight, vision, and strength. You also, if you start thinking, look, the house is still a mess at the end of the day like it was in the morning because the children messed it up again, write down everything you do. You will see how much you have completed. Placed beside her husband's achievement, she feels that she has done nothing worth mentioning. It's true. It is true. And it doesn't help that the world also helps the husband to feel like, I've done so much. It does happen. It's a very humble man who will make sure that he uplifts his wife and just hardly even mentions his achievements anyway. It takes a very insightful soul to realize how deep or how much the work is. The mother who has a nanny and thinks, oh wow, you don't have a nanny. The mother who only helps with the homework and doesn't have to design a whole curriculum for each of the children. They see it if they're thinking deeply. Generally, there's this, I'm a single mom, I have it harder than everyone else does thing that just it's in them, in many of them, not all, where I am struggling more than you because I'm a single mom. But as my single mom friend said, whose child has ADHD, my child's ADHD is not severe and my child goes to school. If I'm sick, I can stay home from work and rest. But you have no rest because your children are your work. How do you do it, Sis Tandy? We need more of those people who see the value, the work, and also the worth. The father frequently comes in with a self-satisfied air and proudly recounts what he has accomplished through the day. His remarks show that now he must be waited upon by the mother, for she has not done much except take care of the children, cook the meals, and keep the house in order. She has not acted the merchant, as in bought nor sold, you're not out there selling. She has not acted the farmer in tilling the soil. She has not acted the mechanic. Therefore, she has done nothing to make her weary. That is one of the biggest lies that still exists today as it did in her time. Even other women who obviously are not raising their children believe this. He criticizes and censures and dictates as though he was the Lord of creation. And this is all the more trying to the wife and mother because she has become very weary at her post of duty during the day. And yet she cannot see what she has done and is really disheartened. Which is why I said it takes and needs a special kind of man who will not act this way, who will leave the work where they have praised him and given him gifts and awards and rewards and come home. And as he's going home, remember, I'm going to someone who has been extremely tired and had no time to think of herself, her needs. Too many mothers don't even eat their meals because they're so busy with their children. Too many men don't. think like that of their faithful, godly wives? Could the veil be withdrawn and father and mother see as God sees the work of the day, and see how his infinite eye compares the work of the one with that of the other? They would be astonished at their heavenly revelation. The father would view his labors in a more modest light, while the mother would have new courage and energy to pursue her labor with wisdom, perseverance, and patience. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun. There will be no immediate results. That's why we need the patience and the perseverance. Now she knows its value, the value of her work. While the father has been dealing with the things which must perish and pass away, the mother has been dealing with developing minds and character, working not only for time, but for eternity. There are ways to be a mom. We can be a sulky mom, a naggy mom, or the mother who cheerfully takes up the duties lying directly in her path will feel that life is to her precious because God has given her a work to perform. I must be about my Father's business. In this work, she need not necessarily dwarf her mind nor allow her intellect to become enfeebled. You must still try somehow to find time to keep up with the broad events of the world, study things that are interesting and uplifting or enlightening. Don't just only be the mom. And if your children are older and you're teaching them, study the best method of teaching them. Then your brain is constantly working as well. And I think that's the beauty of my kind of homeschooling, as opposed to a mother whose child is online schooling. The mother still has to then study how to best reach their child and what to teach them. And when you're teaching, don't forget to remind your children that you demand or command or desire obedience for God's sake. The mother's work is given her of God to bring up her children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. The love and fear of God should ever be kept before their tender minds. He should be the foundation. He should be the reason. When corrected, they should be taught to feel that they are admonished of God, that He is displeased with deception, untruthfulness, and wrongdoing. Remind them, you made Jesus sad when you did that, and when they do good, you made Jesus happy. Jesus. Thus, the minds of little ones may be so connected with God that all they do and say will be in reference to His glory. It's so possible. It does happen. It's happened with my children. The mother must engrave upon the tablet of the heart lessons as enduring as eternity. Schoolwork is a secondary thing. God's work is the most important thing when it comes to our children. And she will surely meet the displeasure of the Lord if she neglects the sacred work or allows anything to interfere with it. This is one of those things that I have seen in positive, that I've seen in mothers' groups. Your child is not interrupting your work. Your child is your work. The other things are the interruptions, if you allow them to be interruptions. The Christian mother has her God-appointed work. God has called you to mother your child. You are called. You are appointed. Which the Christian mother has given. The Christian mother has her God-appointed work, which she will not neglect if she is closely connected with God and imbued with His Spirit. By their fruits you shall know them. You can tell as a husband what spirit is imbuing your wife. Just because women stay home and raise their children, teach them, doesn't actually mean that they're all doing it the right way for the right reason. Not all homeschooling Christian mothers are actually Christian at heart. So you will know if she's neglecting to read the Bible, if she's neglecting to talk to the children about God, there's a problem. It is the mother's privilege to bless the world by her influence, and in doing this she will bring joy to her own heart. She may make straight paths for the feet of her children, through sunshine and shadow, to the glorious heights above. But it is only when she seeks in her own life to follow the teachings of Christ that the mother can hope to form the character of her children after the divine pattern. Your example matters more than your teaching. Amid all the activities of life, the mother's most sacred duty is to her children. Not your friend, not your sister, your children. The husband in the open missionary field, I love this one. It was a huge source of comfort to me when I had the bigger boy. Well, I had our baby, and then 3 months later, I was unexpectedly, surprisingly, given I was told I'm infertile, pregnant with our daughter. And it was hard, and I had no help. It is hard and lonely. And you just feel like am I really pleasing God? Am I really serving God? I don't feel like it, because we've been told that a missionary is one who goes out there and talks to strangers about God. But if she works for the best interest of her family, seeking to fashion their characters after the divine model, the recording angel writes her name as one of the greatest missionaries in the world. Forget Watchman, whoever, I've forgotten his name now. God does not see things as man's finite vision views them. We read these books and we marvel at these missionaries and all the faith they had. It takes a lot of faith to buck the common trend and be a godly, God-fearing mother who does what God has wanted her and told her to do. It is courage. It is faith, perseverance, greatest missionary. This is another thing that has been on my mind. A solemn responsibility rests upon parents to so train their children that when they go forth into the world, they will do good and not evil to those with whom they associate. I know I raised that also in my mind. I want my children to be a good influence. Are you praying for your child to be a good influence? Are you ensuring as much as you can that they are a good influence? The Lord is served as much, yea, more, by faithful home work than by the one who teaches the word. As verily as do the teachers in the school, fathers and mothers are to feel that they are the educators of their children. Your work is more important. You don't get any money, no one donates to your cause, but your work is more important than that of any missionary out there. On the other hand, the Christian mother's sphere of usefulness should not be narrowed by her domestic life. The salutary influence which she exerts in the home circle, she may and will make felt in more widespread usefulness in her neighborhood and in the Church of God. You can prioritize your children, but you're not always with your children, or they have a father or someone to babysit them, and in that hour, you can be a blessing to someone else. And that is why I'm so thankful for the World Wide Web, because I'm sick, I can't go anywhere. I can't be an influence to anybody else. And also, we know the world today has become extremely secular. So people don't want to listen anymore about God. They're just very cynical. They don't care about faith. So you reach out in other ways. You are nice to the people, you're kind to the people, you make sure you are extremely godly to people. The shopkeeper, the person at the post office. You don't have to preach, just live. And in your speech, they will see something different, just as they do in the way you dress. It's already a huge, you are different when they see a woman, especially, because men, especially during work hours, they're all the same, mostly. Well, here, long sleeve shirts, pants, there's no difference between a Christian man and a worldly man in general when they're both at the office or in the mall after work. But the godly woman looks different, talks different, acts different, and you can be that positive influence while still making sure your children are your first priority They're not the only, but they're the first. You can use a Sunday, if you're healthy, to go to a hospital just 1 hour to visit whoever is in need of a visit. 1 hour out of that whole week is enough for God. Home is not a prison to the devoted wife and mother. So yes, I was saying I'm grateful for the World Wide Web because I've always wanted to be a missionary. And the World Wide Web has given me the chance to plant seed in every group I've been in, to help, to give hope, to give suggestions, practical suggestions. And I go in to learn, but I also go in to encourage. I'm glad for the World Wide Web. I'm thankful that we have YouTube so we can study together. And as I said to someone, it's not about numbers. Don't worry about numbers. It's not like when you go to door, you're going to knock on 100 doors anyway. Don't care about the number of subscribers or followers. Care about the quality of what you are doing, not how long you spend doing the other work, the quality of the work you're doing and the fact that you want to do it. God is happy. The world teems with corrupting influences. Fashion and custom exert a strong power over the young. If the mother fails in her duty to instruct, guide, and restrain, her children will naturally accept the evil and turn from the good. And that's another reason why, sadly, as child guidance warns us, we need to be wary of the friendships our children form and never do sleepovers. Because yes, the child may be together with your child at school, but if their life is worldly in terms of fashion and custom, when your child is with them, that child is exerting an influence on your child. 237.2, there's a God above, and it talks about the master artist. That's another one that encouraged me. But what it says in essence is what we've already said. So I'm not going to reread something we've already discussed. Her work, the Christian mother, if done faithfully in God, will be immortalized. The votaries of fashion will never see or understand the immortal beauty of that Christian mother's work and will sneer at her old-fashioned notions and her plain, unadorned dress, while the majesty of heaven will write the name of that faithful mother in the book of eternal fame. I never should clicked on that fame part. Eternal fame. Your record will be there forever. People will come, God's people, and read of your faithfulness eternally. That is a mother in Israel. No other work can equal that of the mother. Let every mother feel that her moments are priceless. Her work will be tested in the solemn day of accounts. Then it will be found that many of the failures and crimes of men and women have resulted from the ignorance and neglect of those whose duty it was to guide their childish feet in the right way. Not all, many, because some parents do guide their child in the right way. But like Eve, as I keep using her example because she's the first one, and she had a perfect father, God, some do go astray. But unfortunately, many have gone astray because of the mother and her neglect. Then it will be found that many who have blessed the world with the light of genius and truth and holiness. The true blessing to this world is someone who is genius, excellent in mind, and holy and truthful. Those things together compose true greatness. They will find that these people who have genius and truth and holiness owe the principles that were the mainspring of their influence and success to a praying Christian mother. We cannot do this without God. I know I am constantly talking to Him, and He will strengthen you. When worldly mothers would be cussing and swearing and yelling at their children, He will give you patience to direct and guide. God is a faithful guide to every sincere person. As a man who's looking to marry, I hope and pray that this is the kind of woman you are looking for. I know people change. She might begin well, but end or become terrible and a burden. That's why Paul said, I wish you were like me, single. But some of you have to marry. Paraphrasing what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 7 verse 7. And so I know it's not going to be easy either way. But I do hope and pray that you do the right thing. So that God will say, well, you didn't know. You really didn't know. And in the meantime, may we be content. Godliness with contentment is great gain. Be content in the field we have in our children. And everything else will be secondary. Pray for the right things, and God will provide.